Very much. Coming up is the Obama administration and the EPA about to regulate us back into recession. Senator James Inhofe calls it a backdoor energy tax, and he joins us next to tell us why. You're watching CNBC, first in business worldwide. All right, not a good story coming up is the Obama administration and the Environmental Protection Agency moving to create a backdoor energy tax for American businesses far and wide. With us now is Oklahoma Republican Senator James Inhofe, who is the ranking member on the Environment Committee. I think, Senator, you do regulate or authorize the EPA. Is that true?
Oh, that's true.
All right, that's what I thought. Now, I'm reading and listening to the EPA administrator, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. We're going to regulate the carbon emissions of what? 14,000. Let me get this right. 14,000 coal-burning plants, refineries, industrial complexes. Do they have the authority to do so? And is this like a backdoor cap-and-trade bill?
Well, now, Larry, we've talked about this before, but now we've progressed to the point where if there's an endangerment finding, yes, if it's finalized, they say that they're going to regulate anything, and they're using 25,000 tons of CO2 a year. Now, the reason they're approaching it that way is that they know that the Clean Air Act was set up for SOx and NOx for real pollutants, and the threshold there is 250 tons, not 25,000 tons. So they know that there will be regulations, there will be lawsuits, and that they'll be forced to regulate everybody. I mean, you talk about 250 tons a year. Larry, that's everybody, every mom and pop shop, every school, every nursery, and that's what their intention is to do.
Well, Senator, who's authorized this? Because my understanding is this ain't legal, and that the 1990 Clean Air Act was never designed to regulate carbon emissions.
No, it wasn't, but if they declare, as they are going to do, that CO2 is a pollutant, like SOx and NOx, then they say they can do it. Now, they can do it, but I have a different feeling about this, Larry. I don't think they really want to do it. I think they want to use this to intimidate Congress to pass something. You saw what was introduced. It's no longer Boxer Kerry. It's now Kerry Boxer. They're going to try that. It's the same thing. If you go back, as we've talked before, all the way back to Kyoto or to McCain-Lieberman or Warner-Lieberman or the Sanders bill, it's still going to cost the American people somewhere between $300 and $400 billion a year. Now, that's what they want to get to, and I don't care how they masquerade it, they're going to try to get there. The reason I don't think they'll try to do it through regulation is because certainly this President Obama, knows that once the American people find out that they're going to pay about $2,000 a year in taxes for something that doesn't do anything, there's going to be an outrage, and they want to be able to say, oh, no, that was Congress that did it. So my feeling is that they're using this for intimidation purposes, and that they're going to try to intimidate Congress to do it.
I think this is the kind of thing that can drive stocks into the ground, particularly commodity, materials, and industrial-type stocks. I mean, this may be an unheralded story in today's stock market correction. It was front page in the New York Times, big article in the Wall Street Journal, and so forth. So look, if I quote you, $300 to $400 billion cost increase a year, $2,000 per family, is that what you're talking about with respect to this backdoor tax idea?
Yeah, if you remember when the Markey-Waxman bill passed, they tried to say that would only be a postage stamp a day, and they were suppressing information they had from the U.S. Treasury Department that said, no, it's going to cost $1,761 per family per year. Now, that's a conservative figure, but nonetheless, every analysis we've seen, MIT, the Wharton School, the Charles Rivers Associates, it's always between $300 and $400 billion a year. But the thing about it is, Larry, it's something that's happened since our last conversation. If you'll remember, we had the new administrator of the EPA before our committee, and I asked her, said, if we were to make this happen and start regulating in accordance with the Waxman-Markey bill, how much would it reduce emissions? She said none. And the reason is obvious. We can't do this in a vacuum. If only America does it, that'll chase away our manufacturing jobs to China, other places where they have no emission restrictions. So it would have the effect of increasing, not decreasing, CO2 emissions.
Well, okay, but I appreciate that point, but The EPA could fine these companies. It's like a tax. We don't know anything about this. There aren't going to be any trading warrants, or it's not like a carbon tax that might be used to lower the income tax on the other side. In other words, are they just going to go off on their own to do this?
Yeah, Larry, the honest way to do this, if they want to do this, is just go ahead and have a carbon tax. The reason they don't do it is because they don't want people to know what it is. So cap and trade, they can say, we're going to give credits to our favorite people. It's not going to affect you, but it will.
If you had to guess, Senator, last word, will the EPA follow through? I mean, I think Ms. Jackson is talking about enforcing it 2011, so it's over a year. Do you think we're going to see this?
No, I don't think we're going to see it. And keep in mind, it's really Carol Browner, but the czar. I don't think we're going to see it because they don't want to be responsible to have to tell the American people this is a big tax increase. They want Congress to do it, and that's the strategy, in my opinion.
All right, Senator Inhofe, you're very kind to come up with that update because I think this is a pretty scary story for the American economy and other things. Thank you very much, sir.
You bet.
Coming up on the Kudlow Report,